Hi, Country Changers. Welcome to the feature month of Lockhart. I am joined by Jared Walker, who moved to Lockhart Shire and bought a butcher shop. And we're going to learn all about his story and I guess what took him to Lockhart Shire. So, Jared, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Jared, tell me, you weren't born and bred in Wagga, but your reasons for coming to Wagga and then buying a butcher shop in Lockhart Shire are really cool. So just if you can give us a bit of a snapshot around what brought you to Lockhart and how did you end up buying a butcher shop?
Yeah, perfect. So was working for a big corporation bank at the time, one of the big fours, and was starting to get a bit mundane. I wasn't connecting with the customers like I used to when I was an apprentice butcher, and really wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And it just wasn't quite working out how I wanted it to. So I had my cousin who also moved to the Riverina. She was dating a bloke from Lockhart. I'd never heard of Lockhart really. And he rang me up one day, said, "Hey man, you're a butcher, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" I thought he wanted me to do a home job or something like that. He's like, "The shop in Lockhart's for sale, you should buy it." And at the time, climbing corporate ladder, thought that was for me, but still didn't have that heartwarming moment at work. So me and my wife that weekend said, "Yeah, let's go out and have a look. Like, what have we got to lose?" We always wanted to open a business together, but we just didn't know what it was and what was going to be our niche. So we went out to Lockhart. We hop out of the car. There's kids riding their bike down the main street of Lockhart. There's people walking their dogs. Everyone that we met that day, "Hi, how are you? Welcome to Lockhart." And I'm like, this is the country town that I sort of grew up in, but a lot more genuine is what I noticed. So we walk into this little butcher shop in Lockhart. I had no expectation of what it was going to look like. And the guy that I bought it off had renovated this store and it looked amazing. And I just walked in and we looked, it was set up, it was clean, it was bright, everything was well maintained. And the gentleman I bought it off worked with his partner at the time in the shop. And we just looked at each other and said, "We can do this. We can literally work together, own our own business and live the dream." Or what we thought was going to be a dream. Definitely has had its challenges. Bit of background though. So I was a butcher previously, before I worked at the Big Four bank. And my wife did 25 years service at a big supermarket. And as a deli manager. So she had that fresh meat sort of vibe, knowing the laws and what customers want. So yeah, that was our reasoning. We took a gamble on life. We had young children, wanted to be able to give them more, and we just what's there to lose? We were lucky enough that the business wasn't out of our reach for new small business owners to go into. So we're very lucky that way. And we gave ourselves 12 months. But during that time, COVID come 3 months later, and I rang someone and said, "You can have the shop for 10 grand." And I rang my old boss and said, "I want my job back." Luckily for me, I had a fantastic boss. And instead of saying that, he goes, "I'm not giving you your job back, but I'm going to call you every week with all the updated changes because I have access to a HR department. And I'm going to coach you through this. This is going to work out." If I didn't have my old boss, we wouldn't be there now. And that was after 3 months. It was just something we could not predict. But things have definitely turned around from there.
That's an incredible story. And to have that mentoring just through such a difficult, and I can imagine having to support a family, you're going, what has happened? The world has literally turned upside down. It felt like within a week.
Yeah.
that would have been really scary. So it's
There was stories coming out that they were shutting down anything but a supermarket, and that it really scared me.
yeah,
And I nearly made irrational decisions because we, as a father and a husband, you put your family first, and you go, oh, yeah, I'll get out and make it so I can still support them. But I didn't have to because I had a great mentor helping me.
yeah, that's a beautiful story. And we should circle back. You were saying to me before we started the interview that you moved to the Riverina for your job, but you actually met your now wife in Wagga and then fell in love, got married, and
Yeah,
the rest is history, as they say. So this
still
is
deeply in love.
that's so beautiful to hear. And that's so cool. You've come to Wagga, as you said, with a mission to climb that corporate ladder for 18 months and then move back to a city. And
Yeah.
then here you are on this trajectory. And I do hear that story a lot where people sort of use the country as a way of climbing up that ladder more quickly because you're offered more opportunities, more exposure, more hats to wear. But then usually what happens is they do fall in love with the place and or a person,
Yeah.
and they stay. And clearly that's your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Riverina, if you haven't been there, it's just a beautiful part of the world. It has so much to offer. It has everything you need. The nature, the landscape has everything. There's water, there's forest, there's cropping, there's mountains, there's everything here in the Riverina. And it just depends what you want to see on that days where you go.
Yeah. I am one of the Riverina's biggest fans, and I agree. It is so diverse and it's just so beautiful, and each place has a very unique attribute. So I always try and get out of people when we're doing these interviews what makes the Shire so special. So if we look, I've just brought up a map for context for people. So the Lockhart Shire, it has a number of villages within it. So you've got Lockhart town where your butcher is. You've got the Rock, Milbralong, and a bunch of other places like Borey Creek within that. And they're gorgeous little villages unto themselves. Osborne, Brookong, Pleasant Hills, like all of these have communities that are just gorgeous within themselves. How have you found opening a business? Oh, and sorry, what I was going to do is just zoom out. You mentioned being close to urban centres. So you've got Wagga, sort of 50 Ks from memory, or was that 100 Ks?
6 days.
60 Ks. Yeah, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got Griffith, you've got Albury, Wodonga, and then Melbourne is about 4.5 from memory.
Yeah. And Sydney about the same.
Yeah. So you sort of
3. Yeah.
You're
Centralized location
in the middle of this, and which, depending on what your business is fantastic, because if you look at that, the networks that opens up, Adelaide, Brisbane, South Australia, as well as Victoria, Canberra, and your Sydney areas. So
those highways that are going around it, major logistic partner highways. So absolutely fantastic point to pivot any business from.
Yeah. And you've got a lot of development. We've seen a lot of green businesses, your solar, Transgrid's got major projects happening all along the Riverina and up. It's just, there's so much happening in the region. When you talk about the community, what stood out to you as an entrepreneur and business owner? How did the community rally behind you, not just during COVID, but after that period as well?
That's a great question. If you look at, as an entrepreneur point of view of why would you open a small business in such a small town? When you open up a small business or when you are operating a small business, it is tough. And you need people around you to hold you up when you're feeling down. But also you need, what would be the word? You need people that are going to, not even the support, but they want to talk about you. They want to go, we've got an amazing butcher shop. We've got this, we've got, and they're going to pump you up and they're going to spread your your cheer. Now, by doing that in a small community, you will have people come in off the street that go, "Oh, Jared, I saw your kids playing out the front. It was lovely. And you are doing an amazing job, and we're so blessed to have you." Now, if you opened in a big center, you don't get that community feel. They don't know who you are. They don't know your kid's name. They don't know your dog's name. You go into a small community, they want to know everything about you. What is your dog's name? What do you do for fun? Do you play football? Do you want to play for our football club? There's they build you up in times that are tough. And sometimes you might be having a bad day and someone just walks past and goes, "Hey, mate, had a snag last night, best snag I've ever had." And it's just something as simple as them giving you a compliment that made you go, "I can do this." And that's where, in a small town like Lockhart, you have the ability to have the community around you. And they see what you look like at your best, because unfortunately, as a small business owner, you do a lot of long hours. And sometimes you just don't look yourself. Maybe you didn't sleep much last night because you were worried about, a logistic partner that couldn't get to you, or, you ran out of something and someone didn't quite get that steak they wanted for dinner. And people notice, they know what you look like because you are in the community. You're there. They see you every day and they help you. They notice that. So we are very lucky to have, if you're going to start an entrepreneurial business, as I had a friend tell me the other day, Solomon had many advisors. Well, I think small business owners need plenty of supporters, and that's how we do it. We have advisors that help us through the business journey, but we need those people that are going to help us get through the hard times.
People do know about each other and they care about each other because their success relies on the success and happiness and growth of that town. So they do build up their local businesses, they support their local businesses, and they talk about them, because without them, their lifeblood is gone, their vibrancy, their economic flow, their growth, their prosperity. So it's all this beautiful symbiotic relationship where they realize that working together and supporting each other has a lot of flow-on effects. And I think it's really beautiful that, though, you've had that experience as a business owner, you don't just have lower overheads, but I can see a little head over there. Hello. Hello. How are you? We're talking about Daddy's business.
This is Noah, and this is Noah.
Hey,
mate. Thanks, guys.
Was Noah in our video for Country Change?
He could have been.
Yes. I think he was. Yeah. You've got those lower overheads, which, obviously help, but you've got a community who cares. And that is the essence of wealth. It's all of those other things. So that's really beautiful. Was there anything else from an entrepreneurial perspective that you would share with people who are interested in making a country change for themselves, but who, I don't know, maybe they've got a dream in the back of their mind of opening something or doing something that they're just being too scared to do?
Yeah. Listen, there's so many positive attributes. One thing as an entrepreneur is you need feedback, and you need raw feedback. So what better place to get it from people that you get to see every day? I've got a shop front next to my shop front that's part of my building that we own. I call it my entrepreneur shop front. It is very small. It is very cheap. And what I do is I say to people, if you've got an idea, come to me. There it is. Give it a crack. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost anything. You're not paying $1,200 a week rent. You're right next to what I would like to think is a successful business, being myself. And give it a go. Like, I want more people to do what we did, and just, what have you got to lose when your overheads are so low? You've got that community minded. You've got people that go, you know what, let's give that person a go. What have we got to lose? Most businesses fail within the first 2 to 3 years, sometimes 12 months. And sometimes it's because they go in hard and fast, or their overheads are too much right at the start. So if you could go to a regional centre and have that, why not give it a go?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll bring up your website. It's called That Butcher Shop. It's in the main street of Lockhart. And as you're heading through town, I mean, you've got a beautiful range there. And I thought I saw, there we go. You've got a bunch of other stuff. So ready meals, pets, and a good range there. So it looks like you're catering. Oh, and jerky. Sounds like you've
So
got.
if you look at, I love what you just mentioned. You've got such a different arrangement for a butcher shop. So that is what happens when a butcher marries an amazing woman that has some great ideas. Like my wife doesn't want to just have a butcher shop. She wants to make it so she enjoys being at work as well. I'm a butcher, so of course I love everything butchering. You go back to our range and you've got grazing boards. Now, I wouldn't know a butcher that could put cheese, meat, and biscuits together that looks amazing. You look at a picture of my wife's grazing board and you think, what has happened? What are these butchers doing? That's not what a butcher shop does. She goes, I think like a mum as well. So we do meat packs and she goes, no, you've got to pack it like this. So even with our bulk buys, right? So you buy in bulk, you save. So we're getting a bigger sale, we're getting rid of more meat, so we give it to you at a cheaper price. So a lot of different shops, even bigger corporations like supermarkets, will go, if you buy 3 kilos, we're just going to give you a packet of 3 kilos worth of whatever. And then you've got to go home and pack it. And, you know, you're busy. We don't care what your life looks like. My wife goes, yeah, I love that you do bulk buys, but she goes, why are you giving it to them like this? Why don't we break it up so it's easy for a mum or easy for a family? Because she would want that if she was to take it home. So what we do is you buy in bulk, you save money, but also you get home and it's already packaged up for you. I really appreciate that that's what you notice, because that's what we're going for. We're not just a butcher shop, we're that butcher shop. The shop's its own family as well. We have a qualified butcher, Russell, that does amazing things, who the products that he's made, actually yesterday got invited to compete in an international competition.
Wow.
And that all comes down to what Russell does with his small goods products. And then we have a great group of junior employees, and we call them our kids. They're 16, and they do a fantastic job. We've got Mitch, Tempe, and Tom. We're trying to build a family, not just a workforce. So we're a part of their lives, and we appreciate everything they do, and we're very lucky.
Yeah. Look, it sounds like you've built up the most phenomenal business and, as you say, family. And I think the people of Lockhart would just be so thrilled to have you. And it sounds like they are, which is amazing. I was just going to bring up quickly as well the Country Change website. If people are interested in finding out more about Lockhart Shire, you can head to countrychange.com.au, and under our places you'll find Lockhart Shire, and on this page there's just some information about its place, where it's situated, the towns and villages that we mentioned. Matt is the Tourism and Economic Development Officer at Council, and his contact information is on there. Just on that, what's the support of Council like when you are starting a business in somewhere like Lockhart?
Yes, I remember them coming down. I think it was my first day, and it wasn't Matt at the time, but it was his predecessor. And, hi, this is who I am. Is there anything I can do to help you? Going forward now, I have Matt. Matt is amazing. Matt really wants to see us thrive, and not just us. He wants to see Lockhart thrive.
In wrapping up, what would your top tips or your one last bit of advice be for anybody who is considering a country change that, you know, might have that little bit of entrepreneurial spark that needs to be fanned?
So a bit of advice is do your homework first. So what's your goal? So don't go in all guns blazing. So we make national award-winning small goods now. It took us 3 years to build up to be doing that. So we had to get our foundations right. So what is your business? My business was a butcher shop in a country town. So I had to have my basics spot on from word go. Do I make a good sausage? Am I selling quality meat?
Yeah.
That was my foundation. I've got a little supporter here. Anyway, so if you have your foundations right and you've done your homework properly, you can encourage growth. But if you're going to come in and want to change the world in a day, it is very hard. As an entrepreneur in a small town, have strong foundations from word go. Your bread and butter, make sure you get them right first. If you be kind and open up to people, good things will come back to you.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that message. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey, and we really appreciate your time. And make sure you head out to Lockhart to visit that butcher shop, and reach out to Matt Holt for counsel if you are interested in starting a business or to find out about opportunities in that regions. And also there is Jobs Riverina Murray, which is a great platform for finding out what jobs are available across the Riverina Murray regions. And it's a free platform to advertise on as well as an employer. So yes, I was hinting at you then. Thank you so much for your time, Jared.
Thank you, Laticia. You have a great evening.
You too.